Hey guys, Joshua Peterson, Peterson Electric here today. At a customer's house here hooking up a wood shop, and they got some really nice equipment. It's made by, it's made by Powermatic. So I'm sure some of you have seen this brand. He's got it at his house, and this stuff's all brand new. So this is some fancy stuff. Definitely a little bit more industrial type than you're going to be your average your big box stores, I should say. But yeah, so today we're hooking up a joiner right there, a drill press, a dust collector. Going to be hooking up a shaper, a gigantic sander here, and another shaper, and then there's going to be a bandsaw right there. I think I got it in the right, sorry. Right there, a bandsaw. And then a table saw, really large, nice one. So the bandsaw is going to be running about 20 amps. It's a two-pole 240 volt, 3-wire. The table saw is a 3-wire running at about closer to 30 amps. We're going to run that in, I think it's going to be a 10 gauge, an SO cord. And then right here, the dust collector is running a bit under 20. Our drill press is about 12 amps. Our joiner is about 9. And our shaper's 40. Our other shaper, 40. And then our sander's the largest at 50. So we're going to be wiring all that up today. Every single one of them is 240 volts except for our drill press. That's at 120 volts. So we're getting all our SO cords hooked up. We've got to run a little bit of conduit. I'll show you later on what I'm doing here. A lot of this was somewhat pre-wired during the construction last year, and it got all permitted fine. But, you know, like this was a 10 gauge, and this only needed here 15 amps, but that's where he wants to locate it. So we just made sure that we got a 20 amp receptacle, wrapped our 10 gauge, and put a 15 amp breaker in there because the max on this is 9 amps. So if you make sure you do your math at 1.25% for your largest wire size, when you're rating these machines, you should be good. It's not like these machines are continuous duty running for more than 3 hours because he's going to jump in between each machine. But you do have to do that based upon the fact that you know, your wire doesn't heat up, and that's what the code says. And I'll show you a little bit later about the code articles, but I believe I was in chapter 400, and it talked about my SO cord, extra hard duty versus wet or dry and damp locations. And then it also talked about, I think it was in 402, I'll have to look it up, but it talked about how much ampacity those SO cords are rated. And that's how I sized everything. Beyond the fact that I went through each machine, and some of these machines were fairly easy, like this dust collector. It'll say 15 amps, 3 horsepower, single phase, which means 2 hots, 240 volt. Even gives an RPM. If you look in the code book under, I think it's 430.248 under motors, it actually showed an extra almost 2 to 4 amps on each machine as the higher up in ampacity I went. I'm not sure why that is. I think it's because the motors are different. These are belt driven, and I think in there it was talking about a squirrel cage motor. So that's my assumption. But I went off of what the machine said, and I made sure I was a little bit safer by adding. So like on this one, you had to dig into it, but in the back of it, a joiner, 9 amps. Okay, 9 amps, 240 volt. That's what you're looking for. The drill press, same thing on the motor. None of these have neutrals. They're all just a dirty motor. 1 horsepower. Hi.